Ion South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.
Hello and welcome to Ion South Asia. I'm Bhavna Vannan.
I'm Prakash M. Swami.
Every week, we'll bring to you the latest news, events, and happenings with South Asians living in North America. Prakash, welcome back to the show. And we are going to start with our top stories for this week. We have the U.S. Commerce Secretary, John Bryson, who has returned from a 5-day trade mission trip to India. And this is one among many trips that have been done by U.S. delegates and representatives in order to make an appeal to India. And really, John Bryson's goal was to take into account Obama's two priorities. And one is to attract business and investments by back into the U.S. by India. And the second would be to get U.S. exports into India. So this is really his goal, and during the trade mission, he visited delegates in New Delhi, and there's a promising new partnership that's going on, and India is planning to invest a $1 trillion infrastructure development over the next 5 years. So he's really on top of those business investments and those things and exports. He's also trying to bring tourism initiatives. He wants more Americans to come into India and visit. As well as, you know, he believes that all of this is going to create good paying jobs, high quality jobs, which will sustain and in turn just reboot the U.S. economy as is needed. So this is what he has been doing and delivered remarks in the event hosted by the Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the FICCI, and he announced that the U.S. Department of Commerce and India's Ministry of Commerce have taken steps to renew the U.S.-India commercial dialogue. So this is kind of opening up again the trade and that very important dialogue with India. And just like I had mentioned, you know, we've seen many people take this step. And in that same vein, we have Som Mittal, who is the president of India's National Association of Software and Services Companies. And last month, he had launched a lobbying effort in Washington. And what he wants to do is come to the U.S. and because he's based in India, and he really just wants to dismantle the stereotype that's floating around that basically the investment in Indian IT companies by U.S. companies, that partnership is breaking away and taking away U.S. jobs. And that's the general opinion in the U.S. And he wants to really dispel that and say, look, you know, 3 out of every 4 jobs supported by Indian companies are constituted by locals in the U.S., and Indian IT companies support more than 280,000 jobs. And it's growing even in a weak economic environment. He also says that the direct workforce that Indian IT companies employ in the U.S. has almost doubled in the last 5 years. And he said that, you know, Indian IT companies are really implementing very aggressive hiring plans in the U.S. So he's also saying, just like Bryson had mentioned, is that these jobs that they're wanting to create are not just temporary sort of jobs, but they're high level and high value jobs. So they believe that this will really, sustain the U.S. economy and that sort of thing. And he really differentiates between this idea of immigration and trade. And he says that the two countries really have this tension when it comes to immigration and trade, because trade is supposed to be open and free. On the other front, we have immigration, which is kind of restrictive to this kind of trade. So he says, listen, we need to focus more on the trade side of things. So this is related to problem solving and just being able to find common ground between the two countries. So when it comes to, as you know, the denials of H-1B visas and those rising costs and stuff associated with that, he says, listen, we just need to focus on solving the current problems instead of increasing those visas that are given. And he really just wants to open that trade up and dispel the notion that, partnership with India is taking away U.S. jobs. And that's not the case at all. Do you have
this
any?
delegation, which recently went to India, has put the focus back on the country. India is on the radar of the U.S. government for quite some time. And if you see the news events, almost practically every month, some top official is going to India. Recently, the Maryland governor was in India with a huge trade delegation. And probably the beginning of the year, Suresh Kumar, who was Additional Secretary General of the U.S. Trade and Commerce Department, he went to India with a delegation. And probably there's a fifth delegation in 3 months. So that shows that the U.S. attached so much of importance to India on economic and trade relations, because he wants to import capital from India, not merely manpower. Now, a lot of companies are investing in the U.S., creating jobs, like Tata's, TCS. Every other company is doing it.
Yeah.
So that means that's good for U.S. in a bad economy, when the local people, it's maybe difficult for them to create jobs. India comes with a package. It comes with the capital, it comes with an investment, comes with the technology, know-how, manpower, and on top of it, it's creating jobs. But what it requires is you need to have a certain number of H-1B to train the local guys, because all of a sudden when a company starts, you need somebody to take them by the hand. That is what India is saying. H-1B, you need people, or at least they can come for 6 months and go. But the problem in tourist visa, you're not supposed to work in this country. So that's kind of a little bit of a dicey situation when we speak to somebody in the State Department, speak to somebody in the Indian government. So I think once this issue is resolved, India would be a very stable partner with the U.S. in terms of investments, in terms of getting new entrepreneurship, and also in terms of increasing the job in an area. Many states in this country are now giving economic advantage if you come and start. What India is saying, the same benefits could be given to a foreign country. They would definitely come like tax holiday and some kind of a concession in land purchase, a few things here and there which normally any country would do. And they are now giving it to the local employers. But what country like India and China is demanding, when they give the same facility to us, foreign governments, we will be able to create more job opportunities in the U.S. That's where we stand now.
Right. And as everybody has been reiterating, is that this partnership is very crucial, and just these missions and these trips are really seeking to reinforce it, because there needs to be that contact happening. On that same front, we have global business groups. They're a bit upset over India's tax plan. And the Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh, said he has a new taxation proposals by the government, and several foreign businesses have opposed this with George Osborne, Britain's finance minister. He's raised concerns over this this issue, and basically he's saying that a lot of businesses are going to be engaging in new anti-tax avoidance measures, and really this is not going to help with investment in India. And he's saying that, you know, this is going to cause foreign investments to decline, and that's a major concern. You know, we have several bodies here, such as the US-based Business Roundtable, the Confederation of British Industry, the Japan Foreign Trade Council, as well as many companies like Vodafone, that's British-based. And so they're all kind of hesitant in this climate of increased taxation. So what are your thoughts on this?
The good point you made in terms of what the tax holidays. But the problem in India, when the Walmart decides to go to India, there's an opposition from the government. The opposition parties are creating problems, saying that when you allow a foreign company, the local companies will lose their prime importance, and that may result in job cuts, and the local economy will be affected. So where do you draw a line? You need investments, you need collaborations, you need foreign partners. At the same time, you need to draw a line, because Indian government is a coalition government. You have different parties clubbing together to form a government, and they are running in different directions. This is an important point the government wants to ensure, is that there is a cohesive, well-planned structure for the investment. But that is not going to happen, because the ruling party is not one, they're 20. That's the reason why we find often confusions when it comes to the foreign trade policy. There's always been confusion, but despite that, India is attracting investments.
Right. Well, hopefully they'll continue to do so, and this tax situation can be resolved. All right, we are going to take a short break, but we'll be right back on Eye on South Asia.
Eye on South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.